As you can see, things are a little different, but before we get into that, let's go ahead and introduce everybody joining me on the show today. We're gonna see if I get my pointing correct. I don't know how this is gonna go. So there's a chance. Down below me, we've got Hi-Res Nico. Welcome to the show, man.
Правда, из дома
Thank you
проводить.
so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And over on my left, nailed
You got it.
We have Evil Mojo Adonis, as you guys know.
Excited
Welcome,
to be-
man.
Yeah, excited to
And
be
on my
here.
lower left-
From home this time.
From home, right? And then on my lower left here, which I think I got the pointing right there, we also have Hi-Res Romanova from the Paladins community team. How you doing, Romanova?
Yay! I'm good. I have cat aggro.
We will all deal with it at some point during the show.
They're so needy. If anyone's winning from this whole, pandemic going on, it's house pets. People's pets
One
are
moment.
winning right now.
Так.
They're having the best weeks ever.
Absolutely. I know, like, during the show, Rex, my dog, is going to be, like, patrolling around. You guys are going to see him, so it's going to happen. But obviously, guys, this is a different setup, right? So we're all working from home. As you guys are I'm sure aware, there is something going on around the world with COVID-19 passing around. And so we at Hi-Res Studios and Evil Mojo Games have been doing our part to stay home, socially isolate, make sure that we're keeping everyone safe, while also continuing to work on your favorite game, Paladins, right? Which has been a challenge, but something that we've adapted to really well, and we're excited to just be here to talk to you guys about all the really cool new content that we have coming up. So
And there is
going
quite a
along
bit.
with this, right, we have a lot to talk about today, like a lot. And going along with that too, right, if you guys don't already have it up, if the mods aren't dropping it in chat, we have patch notes live right now. So if you go to paladins.com/news, you'll be able to watch along with us, check out patch notes as we go along, and read all the
Прямо
finer
сейчас можно
little
почнуть
details,
и глянуть
as we're kinda
вместе
going
с
through
ними.
this show
На
today.
сайте они уже
But
лежат.
let's go ahead and get things kicked off, since we have a lot on the plate, as you mentioned,
С мобильного
Romanova,
зайду.
with the hunt and some bug fixes. You want to go ahead and take us away there?
Бэкфиксы.
Absolutely. So we are going to go right into it. Fix number one. But before I even say that, it's been a pleasure to see how hard our QA is working while adapting, working from home, and shout outs to them for still making a big effort. And you, again, if you're following along in the patch notes, there's a whole bug fix section at the bottom, but we're going to go over probably some of the top 5 that were fixed that are coming in this patch. So number one, we fixed an issue where cards and talents that activate when a player falls below a certain health threshold can go on cooldown again when the player respawns. Now, Adonis, I'll let you give a little insight before we go into the next one. Not too much, but just to kind of.
This is actually the result of a really cool change we made last patch, unfortunately, where when you respawn, you get all your cooldowns back. In Siege, this didn't really matter too much, but in Team Deathmatch, it did. You would spawn in, fight, use your abilities, die, respawn, not have those abilities. So we changed that so you always get your cooldowns refreshed. Unfortunately, resulted in this bug, but we've cleaned it up for this patch.
Yeah, great work by the whole team on fixing something like that. Number 2 that we're going to go into, we fixed an issue where players would experience hitches when getting double kills in matches. So it's always nice because not everyone has a perfect connection, so it's nice when bugs like this can get fixed and are discovered, because so many people, it's hard sometimes to tell whether something's just their connection or if it is a bug. So it's nice that something like this can get fixed to help our player base, especially if normally they maybe don't have a good connection. So no matter what your connection is, you know that this is going to work going forward after this patch launches. So
especially on double kills, right? I mean, double kills are an exciting moment, right? You want to get hype and start feeling that. We don't like that happening on this.
I know what you're talking about. I'm going for that quad. I'm going that.
Oh, okay,
for that penta.
okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I am horrible, but I love playing. So if I get a penta, I deserve the praise because it doesn't happen often. Okay. So issue number 3. We fixed an issue where players would not be automatically re-queued if they failed to load in a match due to a disconnect. So specifically, it's basically when another player disconnects. If you're in queue and someone else disconnects, you won't get re-queued. So that is really good. It would be just annoying if that has happened to you. So our apologies, but in this next patch, it will be fixed. So going on to number 4. This is a big one. This one I've seen a million people talk about, and I understand the frustration, but it's gonna be fixed. And you know, it's just it takes sometimes this stuff. If I can not stress it enough, it takes time. You know, it doesn't get fixed in a day, and especially even if it does get fixed in a day, it takes a while for that patch sometimes to come out, unless it's something that needs, you know, hot fixed right away if there's not a way around it for the time being. So right now we fixed an issue where players could not queue for training modes, tutorial, or shooting range if their crossplay settings were not set to allow all. Again, I've seen so many of you like complain about this, so I'm really glad that we are going to have this fixed in for this next patch for you.
Короче, они тут рассказывают про то, что баги фиксятся не за один день, это занимает время. Это можно сказать намного короче, чем они.
We fixed an issue where the Phantom card would not function. Now Adonis. What about the boy here? You know, this is important.
Yeah, we made some really cool changes to Grok last patch. Unfortunately, the Phantom card was not functioning, and it made it to live, but we have fixed it. We caught it late into the cycle. It was a miss on our part, but hopefully all you Grok players will have more options this patch, and maybe something a little shiny down the line in patch notes today.
Spoilers, Adonis.
You don't say. Yeah. So, just before we get into balance, folks, like I can always let you know, we are always investigating. When we see bugs, just because something hasn't gotten fixed doesn't mean it hasn't been seen. The best thing you can do is give us as much information as possible if you really are passionate about a bug getting fixed, because even though our QA can investigate this, they might not always be able to find that, and if you know more information about it, that helps them get to the bottom of it faster and potentially get a fix in. So again, discord.gg/paladinsgame and paladins.com/bugs are two of the best places to go to report your bugs. You know, it just is. You know, we're browsing Reddit. We see bugs that you post in Reddit. So keep up the good work on alerting us about issues. And you know that even if somebody's not always replying to everything, that you are being seen. And then also too, just another shout out to our QA team working from home, because they've not been only testing and still getting all these fixes in, but they've completely adapted to this life, which is so hard. As somebody who used to be a QA analyst, like it's I think it's one of the harder of our jobs, you know, to work from home and do. So it's really nice that they're set up and able to do this from home. But with that said, you know, let's go into balance. You know, we got Adonis the balance master here, as you may have seen our avatar in game. So I'll let you guys pass it back to Abby, and we'll take it away. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, with bugs, it's always a fun time to dive in. Now we get to dive into the balance, the numbers, right? So we're going to kick this off and kind of roll through each of our roles in game, starting with frontline champions and Ash. So we've actually been looking into kinetic burst. Now I know, Nico, you had a couple points on this that you wanted to point out to everybody in the upcoming patch.
Yeah, so the majority of the balance things we did this update is actually kind of either inspired or suggested by the AOC, so huge shout out to the AOC for their suggestions, the fact that they're able to bring those from the community to us. For Ash in particular, this one is the only one with a bit of a caveat. So we're looking to have Ash kinetic burst to be able to be toggled similar to how Shaolin's crippling arrow could be toggled. Right now it is potentially or very close to working in dev. It's probably not going to be first PTS build, but we'll keep you guys updated, and this is something we are interested in doing for this patch. But yeah, that should be just a little bit of a quality of life.
Если я правильно понял, то Эшкина ПКМ-ка будет активироваться, как у Шалини, то есть ты сможешь ее включить, отключить, без всяких анимаций, но я могу ошибаться, мой английский сосет.
We're going to be messing around with a little bit with the chrono cannon and setback. Adonis, you want to kind of highlight that one for us?
Yeah, so Chrono Cannon, we're reducing the max time, or the time to reach max charge from 1.5 seconds to 1.4, and then reducing the cooldown of setback from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. Atlas is in an interesting place where
Пушка заряжается теперь немного быстрее. И сетбэк — это откат, по-моему. То ли F-ка, то ли ПКМ, который отправляет в прошлое, тоже теперь на 2 секунды быстрее откатывается. Это ПКМ, кстати, да, вспомнил.
I had to do it, guys. I'm sorry. I know I'll be mean for that one. And last up on the... Yeah, right? Last up on the construct joke. It always gets through with Nico here.
Так, давайте про Гейнанда.
You know, last on the list for frontline champions, right? We want to roll into Fernando, which we're going to be looking into his charge ability. Nico, you want to kind of highlight where that came from, what we're looking into there?
Yeah, so this is another thing that
F-ка, короче, теперь дамажит не 200, а 400.
Fernando has been a staple in Paladins for a long time, and this change is just bringing his charge a little bit more in line with some other front lines that you see in the realm right now. So just a little bit more damage on the charge to help secure kills, or just do that little bit more burst damage.
Cool. Pretty straightforward on Fernando. Just make him a little bit more in the fight. I like it. And thanks again to the AOC for that one. That actually is going to wrap up our frontline champions, guys. As always, these are on the patch notes, so feel free to scroll along with us if you aren't already. And now we're going to head into damage champions with Romanova on a couple of these changes, starting with Amani, right?
Yeah, so with Amani, we have her abilities. We have Frost Bomb. We reduced the cooldown 20 seconds to 18 seconds. Seems like she's been getting in a better place so far with a lot of the changes that the design team has made to her, including this Infernal Cannon change where the reduced cooldown is now from 20 seconds to 18 seconds. Do you have anything that you'd like to say about her at all, Adonis? I feel like you and Nico, you've been really working at a place to get some of these characters that, you know, these champions that people really like and have wanted certain changes for into a better place. So
yeah, we think Amani's a super cool champion in general. We like her. We think that she's winning okay right now, but she's not really seen as meta. And numbers-wise, she's a little bit behind some of the other damage characters. So we wanted to give her a slight bump, and this is mostly focusing on the ability to use these the capability to use these abilities more often. We think there's some really cool builds out there. We've been talking to some of the AOC members. Bitey specifically, huge shout outs. He's been a great help at providing us some pro insight into like what characters that, you know, the top players are deeming strong versus weak. We don't feel like Amani is being seen at a high level as much as she probably should be. So this, I think, will just, it's not a huge change. It's very small, but we think this will put her in a much healthier state overall in the game.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people who are excited to hear that. I'm pretty sure one of our old AOC members are even excited anytime Amani gets, you know, any kind of special treatment here. So next we're going to go into Shaolin. I know a lot of people have, you know, felt different ways about Shaolin changes since since the new season started this year. So for his talents, from Sand Trap, we're increasing the damage from 100 to 300. And I mean, who doesn't like more damage, right? And for his abilities, the Desert Silence, you're increasing the silence duration from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. So what kind of went through your minds when you were, you know, I mean, it's only 0.5 seconds, but I guess in an instant, depending on what's going on in the situation, that could be a lot of a difference for this character and, you know, what mode you're playing too. Like if you're playing like a siege mode, etc.
Yeah, you know, I think we've been fairly happy with how Shaolin has been feeling recently. I think this is just a little bit more love for him, getting him kind of a little bit closer to where we want him to be. And as you mentioned, you know, 0.5 seconds can actually be almost an eternity, especially when you're in the middle of a fight, you're trying to do something really quickly. So we think that this damage increase, the duration of the silence increase will kind of give him that little bit of love that he needs.
Sure. And so with that said, we're going to go into another character whose name begins with an S, Strix. So this was an AOC suggestion that we ended up putting in. Pooled mags is going to be increased time between ammo regeneration ticks, 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. Before we get into the second one, can you elaborate
Порезали
on
карточку
the
на
decision to go forward with this and
фоновый
like
откат.
working with the AOC
Пулик.
for this one, guys?
Yeah, these are kind of hand in hand a little bit, but it's really Strix has kind of calmed down a little bit. He was top of meta for a very long time, but this card specifically is a little bit legacy in the numbers that it provides. Essentially, Strix is in a spot where you could have these cards at a very low level, and it felt like infinite ammo. There wasn't really a ton of downtime for Strix specifically, and similar to some of the other changes we made to like Cassie last year, where we increased a reload time, we're just trying to increase the downtime for Strix. This is going to allow flanks specifically to have a better chance at fighting him, catching him with no ammo, or catching him during his reload.
Yeah. And with that said, the other change that we're getting with him is reducing the maximum ammo increase from 2 and 2 to 1 and 1. So not a bad place to be in. Hopefully it's not too much, you know, I guess that's
Карточка на
probably always
максимальный
the fear
боевой
with
запас порезана
when you
тоже.
guys are balancing these characters. You probably want to make sure it's never too much, but it puts them in the right place, like a good place to sit at. So we're going to go into the last one here before I pass it back to Avi for Vivian. So opportunity and chaos, we're reducing the bonus damage 20% to 10%.
Вивиан, возможности хаоса. Порезали бонусный дамаг с 20 до 10%. Теперь это полный сек. Ладно, шучу. Не полный, но мусор.
Her playstyles kind of in line with each other, so as giving different options a little bit more viability in that sense.
Ну что, теперь-то Лего на щит не такой уж и плохой смотрится.
But it shouldn't be super negative for you, and I think this puts her in a better place overall.
Yeah. So, with that said, those are the last of our damage balance changes for this patch, and we're gonna go right into support. I'm gonna pass it back to you.
Sweet.
Nick.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Rolling into support.
I always want to call you Abby, Nick.
I go by many names, but know that I will always do at least one double thumbs up on a live show. So going into first support right on the list, we have Furia, right? So on Furia's change, we took a look at a Pyre Blade, took a look at her Light of Dawn. Again, these were both AOC changes. Adonis, you want to kind of take us through what we're doing on Furia's kit here?
Yeah, and just right before Furia, I do want to mention, we've been looking at supports a lot this patch, so you're going to see multiple shifts coming up in characters. Some that people have been wanting buffs, and some that
Там так щит небольшой, зачем его врезать?
First up, we have this Furia change, though. Again, this was AOC suggested changes. So we've reduced the time until Wrath starts to decay from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, and increased the rate of Wrath decay from 2.5 every 1 second to 10 every 1 second. So you may notice that those numbers are drastically different. This was because there was essentially you had infinite uptime as long as you were healing every 10 seconds on your increased damage from the Wrath meter, and we really just want to bring this in line. So this is now something players are going to have to think about and manage their Wrath meter to get that increased damage during fighting. And then Light of Dawn card, we've reduced the shield given from 50 scaling to 35 scaling. Again, this was a really powerful card, so on top of, the 1400 health that Furia provided, she also provided a 250 shield. Most players had this maxed. We felt like that just the output potential was too strong, especially in comparison to our other supports, and so we've brought that down in line.
Now, as the guy with the Furia tattoo, I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed, but I think she's still going to be pretty powerful.
She's still going to be good, trust me. She's
still going to be doing okay, so I'm right there with you guys. Moving on to, I know we talked a little bit about Gronk with the bug fix, but obviously Gronk's next up on the list, and we're looking at the Spirit's Domain card where we just increased the healing per second from 500 to 600. Nico, you want to go into a little bit of the methodology behind this for Gronk's
до 600, это, по-моему, талант на палочку
so we had, like Adonis was saying before, I think we did some really cool stuff with Gronk in the last update. I think this is fairly straightforward. We just want to bring him just a little bit of a bump. We're fairly happy where he is. So 500 to 6 will just be that little bit that he needs to feel just that much better.
Awesome. Pretty straightforward on that front. Grok mains rejoice. I can't wait to see some more crazy stuff with Grok. Every time. And kind of moving along here, guys, we've got a lot of supports on this one. Moving into IO, everyone's favorite little summoner here. We're taking a look at Moonlight as well as Moonwalk. So on Moonlight, we increased healing from 125 every seconds to 150 every 0.15 seconds. So just bump that up a little bit, as well as decrease the base maximum Moonlight. And I know this kind of goes into, again, Adonis, a little bit of the throw put on IO and bringing her a little more
Короче, увеличили хил от ПКМ, но увеличили максимальный запас маны, так сказать.
Yeah, again, this is something we discussed with AOC, so more shout-outs to the Assembly of Champions. They've been great. I was in an interesting spot. Statistically, she wins a lot. The higher you go up in ELO, the more in line she becomes. A lot of this is from Luna, just the ability to capture a point. Typically in the lower level ELOs, we're not seeing players counter Luna as well, or maybe don't have the knowledge base, but at a higher skill level, she doesn't feel as impactful comparatively. So this is a shift more than a buff nerf, where she's going to be getting more healing. Players felt like, and we agree, that it feels like all you're doing is healing right now with IO, just to try and keep up with the other supports. And in this case, you're going to have more throughput, but not be able to do it as much. So the decreased capacity is a big part of this. So you're going to be healing more effectively, but you will reach that point where you can't heal anymore much sooner. And then we also have a card change with this. So Moonwalk, we increased the card that increases your Moonlight capacity has gone from 6% scaling to 8% scaling. So players that do want to get back to, I have a ton of healing juice in my kit,
Перенесли запас маны в карточку.
Nice, so a little bit of that investment counterbalance on the.
То есть, если вам будет не хватать, можете вернуть это карточкой, и все.
And we've got 3 more actually on the list. If you're
как и раньше они делали.
You got a lot going on. So moving into, I think everyone's favorite hot topic lately, good old Genos, right? On the Genos side of things, we always see feedback on Genos, and Genos is one that we're constantly looking into. So on this one, we're looking into light years in particular, which was another mention that the AOC brought up to us. And we're basically going to be decreasing the range scaling from 10 to 10% to 4%, roughly. So we're kind of scaling it back a little bit. Nico, going into this, obviously,
если мне не изменяет мой английский, то дальность метки порезали.
Specific feedback on that one in particular?
Yeah, I think Adonis and I could probably both speak on this, but essentially, Genos's identity recently has been hanging back behind walls. If he positions properly and the other team doesn't hunt him down, there are times where you actually don't see him very often. And what we're trying to do with this here is encourage Genos players to be slightly closer to the action while maintaining his ability, obviously, with the rest of his kit to support his team. So we're kind of shifting where he is likely to be played in any given engagement, and hopefully that brings him kind of closer to the identity we want him to have.
Sounds great. Yeah, just making sure. Again, we talked about Furia. Now I'm going to talk about Genos. Genos is my other guy, so making us feel a little bit more threatened, probably a good idea lately.
It's not a good patch for you, Nick.
I'm doing a lot of dancing and tossing through walls, and you know what? I respect it, guys. You're gonna make me a better player. Thank you. Kind of moving on from that, obviously we want to touch on Maldamba a bit. Now I know Maldamba is one of the supports that's getting the most amount of changes on this update, Adonis. Obviously we're tapping into some of his healing here, but I'm going to kind of let you walk us through this because these are all pretty interconnected with how his healing output is coming through.
Yeah, so Genos already, his throughput was a little bit lower on average for the average player since the Season 3 changes, and we probably hit him harder than some of the other supports. So we really just wanted to bump him up in a few spots. So Mending Spirits, we've changed from 250 every 1 second for 5 seconds to 315 every 1 second for 4 seconds. So it is still the same total output. It is just now occurring over 4 seconds instead, so he should be a little bit more active and getting those like clutch heals. It is still a heal over time, similar to Genos though. And then we've also taken a look at Gord, so we've increased the damage per tick from 40 to 45, and increased the healing per tick from 60 to 65. On top of that, Spirit's Chosen, his talent that adds the additional heal when you hit Mending Spirits, we've increased the heal from 200 to 220. So He's getting some slight numbers increase, but I think
So, в двух словах, дамбу бафнули. Увеличили хил, увеличили дамаг от тыквы. Ну, чуть-чуть. Совсем чуть-чуть. Вы этого даже не почувствуете, скорее всего.
Sounds great, yeah, kind of helping Maldombas down that.
Yeah, you said Genos like 3 times while you were saying that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just like, get out of here. What the? Oh my gourd, you know? Oh my gourd.
Oh my gourd. There it is. There's number 2. I hope chat's keeping track of this. We're just gonna get like a counter at the end, like here's all the puns that were made during the.
I gotta make Thunderbrush proud, okay?
Very fair, very fair. So last on the support list, right? Kind of tapping into this. This one's going to be pretty straightforward. We're looking at Pip, right? And with Pip, we kind of took a look at his potion launcher, right, Nico?
Yeah, so pretty straightforward change, as you mentioned. Essentially, we have removed the in-air inaccuracy for Pip's potion launcher. So this will benefit both Combat Medic and kind of just your standard Pip play. He's jumping all over the place. Finally, you won't find your shots veering off someplace that you weren't
Если мне не изменяет мой English, ему убрали разброс.
Something that complements, it's a huge quality of life change that complements his playstyle, and I think it will kind of make Pip mains happy.
You love to hear it. You love to hear it.
Pip the doodly do, right there.
And there's number 3. We're just rolling. This is good. This is really good. I'm a big fan. So that actually is going to conclude our...
Shout-outs to the people watching if you know where that is from. 90s, 2000s kids, what's up?
Gotta love it. So moving on from that too, guys, that's a look at our balance. Obviously, these are all available on the patch notes as you guys are scrolling through with us. So if you want to look back into that, as we've all mentioned multiple times in this section, huge shout out to the AOC for helping us with a lot of these this time around, and always giving us good feedback from the community and making sure we're punching through stuff and doing balance updates that feel good for everybody, right? So now kind of moving out of balance, Romanova, I think it's actually time for us to start talking about like general changes, some of the new content maybe. You want to go ahead and take us into that?
Oh, absolutely. All right, so the first thing we're going to get into is the rank splits. So rank split 2 and map rotation. I'm not going to really touch so much on the specific map rotations, as you can see what's going in, what's going out on the patch notes document if you're following along. Again, paladins.com/news if you're looking to follow along with us. But the rank split 2, destructive tendencies, so there's a limited edition Ash avatar. I think the most important thing to really talk about right now, though, because this has been the same since I think our first announcement for the season, is that right now we're going to be having a soft reset and 2 new rewards. Right, Adonis?
Yes, we are going to be doing the soft reset that we traditionally do. I'm sorry, I was looking at something else.
No, it's fine, it's fine. I threw you with a whammy there.
So we have some really cool rewards, like you said, the Ash avatar is coming in, and players are going to have to re-qualify for their matches once again, and once they do, they will get the gold chest that is standard for the ranked resets.
So again, you can check the map rotations on there, and I guess I'll toss it, even though I was just tossing it to you, we're going to toss it right back to you.
Awesome.
Yeah, to the direct purchases. So we do have an exciting one that we're going to talk about right after, but in general, what went into Design's head and, you know, the choice to make a lot more direct purchase coming up, you know, I guess the benefit for me, as I see, is people can, you know, they have access to some of these avatars and different things that they may have not have had access to before, and that's exciting.
Yeah, this is a change we made, I believe a patch or 2 ago, where we started selling accessories for direct purchase, similar to how we did for skins. So players who just want to access the content without rolling chests have that option. We really like this. A couple got added this patch, so the Snack Time avatar, the Cutesy Zin, Snake, and Maeve from these were actually community submissions to our first Battle Pass years ago, and they're available for 7,500 gold, so you don't have to pay crystals for them. So if you like the cutesy avatars, they're there. A couple other stuff like sprays. The Get Wrecked one, I think, is the big one, or my favorite one coming for direct purchase as well. So if you want to spray Get Wrecked after you wreck someone, you can now do so.
Если я правильно понял, можно будет купить напрямую спрейчик какой-нибудь отдельный. Я столько кристаллов слил на сундук стильный, чтобы аватарку одну получить.
Compliments the fact that we can now get double kills and above, right? No more hitching.
Right? Absolutely.
Что-то немного требуется кристаллов.
With that said, the one direct purchase that I'm really excited for, it's going to be as DLC though, not as like with crystals and whatnot. Is we are
Я цены, кстати, не видел, я пока листал.
3D спрей 300 кристаллов, обычные, это которые эпические, 200 кристаллов.
Это что такое? Скакуны. Скакун. Крылатый ящик.
So, you know, please, you know, shout outs. Oh, there it is in game. Look at that thing. It is just, it's so nice. And there's so much work, so shout outs.
По-моему, у Тиберия склейка в хвосте там была. Или мне показалось, наверное.
In order to set up a new mount, because I think the process,
Наверное,
from what I remember for this, from talking to previous animators, is that they're each character individually.
Кажется, что ему неудобно так бегать.
And that is the. There's just so much that goes into doing this on the animation team. So shout outs to them for working so hard to make stuff like this possible for our players.
Да, в Римуче же есть такие маунты.
I don't know if he can fly though. He might be like a dodo bird.
Ладно.
Главное, чтобы он в некоторые места не заходил и не смотрел долгое время. Ну, хотя он уже пробегает мимо некоторых. Они бы другую карту выбрали, более удачно.
Не, ну на Немного... нет, мы же на Немного, кстати, не могли.
Могли бы сразу... хотя, ну да, надо же отдельно показать. Как
они испортили бы момент.
We're gonna go into it. If you haven't guessed already or read our patch notes, our patch is going to be called Darkness and Dragons for our Battle Pass.
Тьма и драконы
if you didn't already know, April Fools
будет называться.
Maeve is not getting a skin.
Обновление.
But we what? Oh wait, no, she is, right? She's still getting.
Where's my all Maeve battle pass? I need it.
Долго они все делают, я уже прочитал много чего, я спойлерить не буду, подождем, пока не дойдут до этого.
Да, они до этого будут долго доходить.
Капец. Ну, представим, мы бы были бы разрабами, мы это рассказали бы быстрее. А чё тянуть-то? Что они с этого получат? Больше рекламу засунут, так они рекламу вроде не суют, хотя я не пересматривал особо стримы.
So moving on, going into the Darkness and Dragons Battle Pass. If you guys are following along on the patch notes and series, you're already seeing some of the really cool stuff coming in.
Если они суют рекламу, тогда я понимаю, зачем они тянут. Типа, чем больше они будут вести стрим, тем больше рекламы будет потом в записи.
Yeah, so we've actually increased the total levels that the battle pass has.
120 левелов в боевом пропуске теперь будет.
Было 80, было 100, теперь 120.
So it's going to be an extended duration, and that duration matches the number of levels that we have added. So you do have significant.
И добавлен еще один сундук для и той полосы, для бесплатной и для платной. Что там с бездной связано. И там скорее будут скины вот эти, типа Демонесса Мэйв, что-нибудь подобное. Дрогос, он тот. Лорд бездны.
Он не может быть, он лимитирован.
Кто его знает? Это ж Хайрес. Там, это же, Мойва, как она называлась? Музыкальная, короче, Мойва. Не, музыкальная, она что же эксклюзивом была, VIP-система?
Была.
VIP-система не стала, соответственно, ну, логично, она должна остаться там в прошлом.
А дрогистые ивенты вроде. Его не могут создать. Хотя его могут цвет поменять и все, и типа не лимитировать. Они не додумались изначально просто сделать две раскраски Дрогоса, он только один.
Виктор с автоматом, ой, это Дрогос с автоматом сейчас на экране. Ладно, это Виктор.
job by the art team. I absolutely love those horns.
Yeah, and you can see too in this splash art, he's getting the cardio in. He's getting that Victor cardio in.
Absolutely. And here he is in game too. Whew. The tail is just pristine.
Виктор, блядь.
Don't draw too much attention to it. It's already out there.
Впечатляет, конечно.
It's a girthy boy.
He's fantastic, and you know, Victor, we've done some really cool skins with him in the past, but kind of diving into this draconic theme, I think the team.
Что, почему у меня пиксели появились? Там что, ты ё-моё, вы охуели?
You know, Zach about the team, and we will be doing it all throughout the day. But hopping in, that weapon though, am I right, Adonis?
Oh, yeah.
У них синхрон звука.
Yeah, the favorite.
А ствол нормально выглядит.
Is definitely like the lava that's oozing out of the barrel.
Absolutely.
Да ладно, ничего, просто взяли модельку и слегка переделали. По-любому недавно в Doom Eternal выпали. Прям по-любому.
А что там, похоже, что ли?
Ну, пушка же похожа на в игре, так же они выглядят. И чего он стреляет в разные стороны? В чем смысл?
Ну, показывают, типа, эффекты там, наверное, как оно, типа, работает.
Ты сколько года два, наверное, на эти эффекты смотрел. Там такие, ну, похожие.
Они все это, знаешь, слава эффекта кайфуют. Типа, смотрите, течет.
Ты, я сейчас впервые помнишь, что ли, увидел, я не пойму. Я, конечно, понимаю, классненько выглядит, но не прям настолько. Я что-то не понимаю. Ну, у тебя стандартный бинокль.
Угу. Не, ну это уже косяк. У остальных тогда кастомный бинокль. Вот стандарт. Может быть, доделают.
Может быть.
Ну, поехали дальше, все посмотрели. Все способности постреляли. Что еще?
Надо голосовую фигню потестить.
Они же раньше отдельно включали на черном фоне. Ну, стояла моделька, я разговаривал. Было классно.
Не, может, из-за карантина они вот так делают. Может, значит, так это теория.
Типа попроще.
Ну да, может.
Ну так-то да, там отдельную карту это загружает там.
Хотя здесь у них вроде стрим не оформлен.
Стритух. Это он типа Виктора натянул на себя. Прям брутальность так и прет из него.
Да, вот особенно когда смотришь на, он прям такой весь классненький, а потом выглядит.
Вот в игре сейчас будет, наверное, нечто. Буферизация заебала. Или это у них? У меня сейчас не может лагать, в принципе. У меня не фикус.
Нет, то у тебя было.
Нет волос на руках, но зато грудь заросла. Пипец, блин.
Логика. Значит, ну там шерстяная броня, а на руках ничего нету. Ну, люди разные. У этого стрикса даже этой подмышки прям это чистейший, там ни одного волоска. Королевство оно такое.
Может, это какие-то магические услуги, кстати. Они его модельку покажут, или у меня стрим повис, ну, типа картинка, или кто-то забыл переключить что-то? Они много болтают.
Не, если болтовня идет, значит кто-то забыл просто.
А ты стрим смотришь же их? О.
Не, я с твоего смотрю.
У него ноги под картой, блядь. Этого мы, кстати, не заметили, что... Сохраним момент.
Ну да, в принципе. В игре-то он не так смотрится.
Но он не такой уж ущербный, нормально выглядит.
Не, нормально, да, ничего не скажу. Хотя бы склейк не видно. Это пока на своем мониторе.
Надо вот эти команды set это third person и set one person, first person, надо потестить будет. В стрельбище. Вдруг сработает. Я не знаю, я сейчас переключу на 720p. Если буферизация не пропадет, значит это на их стороне.
Почему на их? У меня-то тоже какие подгрузки идут.
Ну ты говоришь, ты смотришь с моего этого.
Ну, а подгрузка-то идет. Ты заговорил про буферизацию, у меня началось.
А ты попробуй посмотреть отдельно у них на канале. Блин, я стримы на лагаче смотрел. Ну, Twitch лагач, который. Там обычно все очень печально, я там смотрел спокойно в источнике. Может быть, это связано с тем, что я у Сники Джо смотрел, у него все нормально со стримами. А, 3D граффити, которые 2D.
Думаю, это в студии. А где... А куда они копии у Федьки подевали?
А это... А что у него с рукой? Она сломана.
Нет, не, она не сломана, он так просто копью держит. У него просто его нету. Что это? Пытается удивить меня каким-то спреем в 2020 году.
2D-шными еще. Они их 3D-шными называют только потому, что они их в пространстве располагают, а то, что они сами 2D-шные, это как бы не... Это мы не знаем ничего, не слышали.
Такой выстрел с ноускопа зафейлил, резко цену сменили.
Вы этого не видели. А он тренировался, поди.
Draconic Enforcer Khan, probably one of the coolest skins in this battle pass again. I feel like Thunderbrush right now because he always is saying the coolest skin, and we just keep going, right? They're just all so good. The team does such an incredible job.
Hold up, the coolest is yet to come, but we'll get to that.
We still have to go, right? I mean, over half technically. It's good times, but Draconic Enforcer Khan, really great. And you know, if you guys were watching along on the patch shows, I'm sure you're seeing him now. Here we're seeing him on the screen.
Так. Ну, это, наверное, Хан.
And I know Adonis, this is something too. Like this is the first time we've actually seen Khan without a helmet on. We're seeing a facial design here.
Yeah,
он больше на крокодила похож.
I'm always a fan of skins that change kind of the idea
Рептилоиды теперь в Paladins.
Ну, шутили про рептилоидов, они теперь там есть.
And we've kind of renditioned a draconic version of what Khan would be like, and what he would look like. And he's very smug. You can see him just like shattering that blade in his hands while just very happy with himself, very content and smug.
Блин, мне кажется, без крыльев он смотрелся бы лучше.
Rom is another example of it, but this is kind of a very imposing figure that you're going to see when you're fighting him in match.
Тогда бы Дрогус поднапрягся бы. Это что, там единственное, пока без крыльев. Только еще с крыльями.
That like now I just like anytime there's a beefy boy, we're like, oh yeah, this guy's he's beef castle, man. And I mean, yeah, I mean it fits, and I think it's so cool too that I don't know how well those wings are gonna work holding that up in the air, but you know, probably some crazy aerodynamics going on with him.
Maybe with him,
he has double wings. He's good. He's good.
I was gonna say maybe with him and the wing drake together, they would be.
Там, кстати, в другой руке держал свою пушку. Крылья не выглядят не так.
Да, они как-то вообще... Что они как-то у него вообще слишком наигранно выглядит. Он не может у них так это фиксировать вечно. Ай, блин.
Они там санимированы, но они там еле двигаются.
Если они вообще двигаются. Ну не физично это все выглядит.
The thing I'm the biggest fan of, though, with this one is how you've got the nice little fuse lighter on the end of the gun, you know, for when that lava's coming out, just to give it the extra spark, right, guys?
Далеко выкинул.
Literally, Nick. Literally, the extra spark.
See that
the thing I love. That one, I don't think you even meant to do that one. The thing I love about this weapon, Nick, is that it feels almost organic, like it came straight from the forged smiths of dragon kind. You know what I mean? It's absolutely
His voice is
really
brutal
cool.
too. If we can all take a listen to it real quick. Oh wait, never
Кстати,
mind.
на архивах магистрата стенка тут невидимая вдалеке, она слишком близко располагается, и много кто из чемпионов может вернуться назад после хана. Я надеюсь, они стенку там изменят на новой карте, обновленной. А то иначе ему придется выбрасывать прямо вниз. Целиться, так, прыжочек и вниз прям.
Да, понятное дело. Меня сколько раз так выкидывали там. Ну или я выкидывал. Потом.
Это фурия. А, типа мечи вместо крыльев. Это нелогично.
Типа, ну ладно, чё.
Как она эвку теперь делать будет? Ну, у нее крылья тогда были. Как она ультовать будет? Ну, она же не может лететь за счет мечей, парящих в воздухе. А, это Paladins, да. Тут из мечей стреляют мечами Ой, нет, спойлера.
И чемпионы, которые с крыльями, это не летать не умеют. Есть же там такие, да?
Ну, хотя тут типа магия, можно все на магию списывать. Это магические мечи крылья. И что, у него в двух руках мечи будут? Одним мечом дамажит, другим хилит? Или...
Дальше сразу с двух мечей херачить будет и все.
The team did a really good job on it too, as always. I think it was Denny that took a crack at this character with Jeff doing the concept again, and it is just
По-моему, он переделан. Сейчас еще раз арт посмотрю. Да, он вообще не так выглядит. Вот те мечи за спиной, как на арте. Главный меч вообще неправильно сделан. Вот они нарисовали так, а почему выглядит по-другому?
So look at the details in her gun, right? Like her sword gun. It's so good.
The weapon is killer.
Они про детали разговаривают. Они, видимо, других игр не видели. И детали.
Yeah, this really stands out. To me, it's kind of similar to Genos' weapon, where he has that the orb in the middle. That's kind of the center power of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Where you have that nice little like centrifuge holding everything together. Even when it fires, you're getting the little feathers off the top and the bottom. I mean, it's just such an incredible skin. Everything looks so solid on it. I'm always one for Furious skins though. If you give me a Furious skin, I'm always obsessed with it no matter what. And then having the swords pop out of the back when you're using your ultimate, I mean, it's just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
And they appear on your allies too, which is my favorite part.
У Нанда крылышки там были. Ну, типа стандартный, но еще и с мечами. Делайте чисто из мечей. Странно как-то.
А то, что меч стреляет как-то вообще не физично.
Да это мы уже
проходили, да?
А, то, что из центра летит снаряд.
Там неизвестно откуда летит вообще.
Ну,
типа магия, да?
Они же какому-то чемпиону поправляли, чтобы... Ямани. Бомбочка. Огненная эта херня. Когда зажимаешь, что, как у Шалин, типа натягиваешь и отпускаешь. Ей же поправляли, изначально из центра летело, теперь справа. Ну и перекрашенный Виктор. Перекрашенный стритух.
Тот получается бирюзовый, это фиолетовый.
And again, these will be unlockable at level 70, 90, Con will be the 100, and the 120 will be our final Fury recolor too. Just a nice like color contrast.
Тут этот хан от какого-то батя Дрога завис.
Батя Дрога. А при этом у его батя почему крылья вообще мелкие.
Ну это с возрастом, наверное, связано, типа уже не стоит.
Не стоят крылья, да?
О, это Hellblade'ом что-то повеял. Раскраска на лице.
Ну ей этот цвет вообще не идет.
Это золотой, если что. Золотой блок.
This is a good old golden grok. So as Adonis teased a little earlier, we have a, well, I guess it's not a surprise anymore. Golden grok is going to be coming this update to give all of you grok bands another little pinnacle to work towards, right?
Надо было больше черного добавить.
Ну, а тут что-то не по шире как-то, не по
А он выглядит как реколор.
Но зато накачанный.
Which is going to be our update to Magistrate's Archives. So this is a map update to go along with. I'm sure you guys have heard of this gentleman.
Так, самое интересное для меня.
And so moving into this Romanova, kind of walk us a little bit through, you know, the map design on a high level, real quick.
Это они, походу, в Paladins поиграли.
Ты про карточку, эту, которую я сейчас показываю?
Ну. Там такая фигня, там в 3 части, когда загрузка идет какой-то локации, там в таком же стиле оформлено.
А там у них такая уже была, когда острых лягушек показывали. Я не знаю, Борда тогда уже была.
Я просто тогда не играл еще в 3.
Освещения нет.
Да нет, ну все такое же убитое.
Им завести бы то освещение, вот как в тизере. Вообще офигенно было бы.
Это что-то оставили, какую-то фигню. Разве это освещение?
Вот здесь есть объемный свет, но внутри они показали, внутри как-то странно выглядел.
Не, ну так, в общем выглядит неплохо, как. Уже лучше. Там сторона магистратов и Paladins.
И в эту жижу, наверное, можно упасть, да? Или нельзя, это швейц.
О, здесь сферу поставили вместо этой лупы.
Только зачем?
Смысл вообще непонятен.
Раньше, типа, архивы магистрата, типа архивы. Там всякие, там библиотеки, там что там изучали. А теперь просто по фану поставим красную хуйню, ой, эту круглую хуйню, из которой будет литься жижа какая-то. О, тут такая карта была бы классно, только это каменная крепость. Разрушение бы добавили, как в этом, как вот здесь вот. Ну просто местами.
После взрыва этого бы места вообще бы не осталось.
А можно частичное было бы там, типа, края построят там всяких.
Ага, дверь без анимации сломал.
Хуя себе, вылечил. Мечом, блядь, ой, клинком. Пил. Камень.
А если вот 320 ультра ботнется? То есть, значит, они вдвоем его стреляли, а ему ведь ни о чем, да? Он 3 пульки выпустил, они его вернулись резко.
Этот тизер вообще на косяки можно разбирать отдельно. Тут много косяков. За Орду он там сказал. Для тех, кто не знает английский. Смотри, здесь он поприкольнее выглядит, чем там. Где его эта херня? Ему рот закрывает, которая... Передний капюшон, не знаю, как он называется.
Бампер.
Ну здесь он выглядит прям по-гейски, по-лорному магистрат все-таки там. Джорджа напоминает еще.
Не, мне он Звездные войны напоминает.
Да, на груди эта херня прям Звездными войнами.
Если ему перекрасить в те же цвета, которые обычно ходят, то там то же самое будет.
So Corvus is the son of Karn, not Khan, as I had heard some people say already. Son of Karn, Grand Magister Karn.
Сын Карна, не Хана.
Risen through the ranks of the magistrate by his own merit.
He's come
across some pretty wonky, some pretty wild things over the course of his military.
Да, здесь надо, если с копиями и без. Что-то другое тестить будут, наверное, еще.
А что у него здесь? Этот кинжалик поменьше, кажется. И что он не светит? А, или там у них другие настройки.
Может, минималки опять?
Может. Это, знаешь, вот этот ствол у него в руке вправо напоминает СКС. Гол, который...
А, это... Да. Так он, знаешь, типа кастомный.
Только тут кастом 50 патронов. Там-то всего 12, а тут 50.
Не, я про внешний вид говорю.
Не, ну это слишком кастом. Так, может, они покажут, что он умеет? Нет?
Ну это, короче, саппорт, кьюшка хилит, ПКМ не знаю, ТФК, эскейп у него, ульта, я хз что делать.
А немного ли надо для саппорта-то?
Вот мне не хватало такого саппорта. Посмотрим, сколько он хилить будет. Это для меня финальным будет. Мне нужно было такой хискановый кога, типа, который хилит.
Не, ну урона у него для саппорта много. Так, ладно, давайте показывать финал. Конечно, понимаю, вы сейчас будете фиг.
Я хотел сейчас перемотать, но вспоминаю, что это стрим. По-моему, там низкокачественная вот эта картиночка. Я отсюда пиксели вижу. У меня в 720p стрим сейчас идет. Я и то вижу.
Это что, все что ли?
А сколько кулдаун? А то они там со своими суперкомандами это делают.
Не, 4 секунды. Че, все что ли? 4 секунды так много выхиливает?
Не, он кьюшкой хилит, ты посмотри, он кьюшка.
Я
так понимаю, ее можно просто флудить ей и все.
Не, он ПКМ он хилит тоже.
А, ПКМ хилит.
Че?
Так, а кьюшка тогда что?
Фиг знает. Не, ну ПКМщикам что-то он хилит вообще как-то уныло.
Может, кьюшка мощно хилит?
Посмотрим. Пока не видно. Я вижу, что пока не очень.
Какая-то метка поставилась на него. Наверное, метку ставишь, ПКМом хилишь, и хилится он больше, чем все остальные.
Но все равно не впечатляет.
Типа как Серис, понял. Это типа полудженос, понятно.
Не знаю,
типа на фланга метку повесил, а хилишь поинт танка и хилится за это время еще и фланг. Это удобно, кстати.
Да, удобно, но по циферкам пока не очень. Но все равно так-то, конечно, годно.
Надо тестить все это.
Потому что его могут еще же переделать, здесь на стриме он там один, а наверное,
да, там потом через 3 апдейта в ПТС и вообще поменяется.
Могут вообще класс поменять. Я ничего не понял.
Он бросает кинжал и может к нему телепортнуться. Типа ты ее можешь F-ку второй раз не прижимать, ты не телепортнешься. Если ты второй раз прожмешь, то ты телепортнешься.
Так, давайте покажите его. Супернавык. Это что, весь супернавык, что ли?
Ну просто телепорт, короче. Типа бросаешь его и хочешь, не, ну типа хочешь телепортнулся, не хочешь, не надо.
А где молнии, где скорость?
Эффекты там, да?
Да.
Где-то это вот супер вся вот эта офигенная красивая штука. А, блин, Данил. Блин. Я надеюсь, они здесь оставили косяки с прошлой карты. Здесь можно за потолок вылезти. Было. Для этого нужен телепортер какой-нибудь, либо летающий чувак.
А вот он как раз телепортер, да?
Ну вот потестим. Так, это ульта у него.
Напоминает этого из Overwatch-то.
С кулаком, который?
Нет, там есть из танков, да.
А может и не зря напоминает.
Есть там чувак, у него точно такая же ульта. Она только у него подкидывает и об землю фигачит.
А, это этот, вспомнил. Я не помню, как его зовут только.
Вот точно то же самое, только и подкидывания не хватает.
Там ученый, который в костюме.
Да. Секундочку.
Ну, что-то так себе. Хотя это танки, ладно. Мелкий может больнее быть.
Ульта неплохая, конечно. Не, нихера себе танк не больно.
На поинт просто забросил эту херню, все.
Дред слабее Дамара, понимаешь?
Ему ульту в навык переделали, я помню.
А тут саппорт, знаешь, чуть ли танков ульту не выносит. Тут даже Кога может напрячься.
Но отбиваться ему легко будет, если ты умеешь вести по модельке.
Особенно представьте, все с вертикальным геймплеем вообще тут поломается.
Ой, Ведьмак. Почти. Это золотой, судя по цветам.
You've got good old golden Corvus available at mastery level 50 right out of the gate with an awesome dagger to boot. Just really, really solid.
А у этого бампера еще есть.
Bringing it all home too, right? We want to hop into
Почему тех нет?
Это как у Фура, там тоже есть разница. Скинчик. Нарколор. Это все.
А это тоже он, только скинчик другой.
На, те дракоши, это типа ангелы.
So it's nice to have that in there, and when you guys get to check them out in game, it's gonna be good stuff.
Не знаю.
Yeah, and right before we finish up here too, I would just like to say that that's so cool that we have an Echo champion. I know we were talking about it just the other day with Nico. You know, Nico, what do you have to say about this? You know, I think you were pretty excited that we got to do something like this again. I think our first one that we did of an Echo champion, like in another reality, was with Pepper for Pip's skin. Like it's like an alternate reality.
Ага, у него тоже поролонка есть. Присуху качает. Добро.
Real quick, it's an example of kind of the same the feeling you get with the remix Pip. It's kind of that not actually Corvus. It's kind of what if in another universe. But it's definitely something that's really.
You can always ask us too on like Twitter if you guys want to know.
Так, нам еще БП не показали.
Nico's been like really active on there, guys. So you know, just hit any of us.
Погодь, а нет, скины с БП нам показали.
The only thing we have left right now, Abby, is some esports announcements, right?
Походу все.
Just a quick little thing from esports before we kind of bring things to a close. If you guys are involved in the Paladins Pro Circuit, we actually were able to extend the organization lock deadline. We know communication's been frustrating for everybody with this whole working from home situation. So that has now been extended to April 10th. If you guys have any questions about that, obviously feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Valence, as you guys have seen on screen all day. And that's really it. That's going to kind of wrap it up for Darkness and Dragons, though. So thank you guys, Adonis, Nico, Romanova, for joining me today on our work from home. The dog has made an appearance right at the end, which is perfect. Didn't even bark once. And everyone watching at home, thank you guys so much for tuning in for our first working from home patch show. We hope you guys enjoyed the update show. Everything to go. The notes are live, and we'll see you guys in the realm later this week. Take it easy, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Окей, там дальше музон пошел. Все, они закончили. Я не знаю, что сказать. Ну, про талант они не стали рассказывать. Ну, кстати, неплохие там темные дары. Первый талант стандартно темные дары. Отмеченный союзник получает следующие бонусы. Снижение силы эффектов контроля на 15%, сокращение перезарядки способностей на 10%, повышение скорости перезарядки на 15% и исцеление на 50 единиц каждую секунду. Я так понимаю, фоновое. Неплохой такой талант, да? Второй талант на уровне 2 открывается. Сногсшибательный образ. Задетые проекции. Проекция — это F, которая телепорт. Задетые проекции враги оглушаются на 1 секунду, а те, кто оказался между проекцией и вами, во время телепорта получают 600 единиц урона. Третий талант, который открывается на 8 уровне, расширение влияния. Отмеченные цели получают на 15% меньше исцеления, но вы можете отметить 2 союзников одновременно. Ну, не знаю. Первый талант прикольный. Так, не надо там нам автоплей. Все. Ты еще здесь? А, да не ушел. Ладно. Спасибо за просмотр. Ну, если кто-то был или кто-то смотрит запись. Хороших вам каток и поменьше овощей. ПТС выйдет, скорее всего, ну, наверное, в течение недели. Как он появится, мы запустим стрим, посмотрим, потестим все. Посмотрим карту сразу новую. Проверим щели, проверим старые щели. К сожалению, добраться до старой версии карты мы не успели. Ну и хрен с ним. А может, еще и успеем. Anyway, еще раз хороших каток и поменьше овощей. Пока.